Yes, hello and welcome. This is an LFDRA audio edition here on this channel. Please do like, subscribe and comment. This is the front page of LFDRA.org. So please help our cause, gold coin donation. $1 or $2 coin, you can donate now. This is President Mr. Harris Stiller Republic of Australia People, LFDRA. Republic of Australian People, LFDRA said this. I said, can King Charles monarchist-led governments and government staff comprehend people's lives are lived once? And I also said, what is King Charles monarchist-led governments and government staff correcting to and have corrected to? And then I said, the conclusion I have come to with the malware of King Charles realm ideology is that if you're not in favoritism to King Charles's realm malware of either ALP or LMP, such as Republic of Australia, LFDRA, you're blocked, as we saw with Lydia Thorpe when King Charles was visiting from the UK, Great Britain. And so this is the front page. That's the ROA flag there. I need a flagpole, regions, policy badge, PayPal donation link. You can donate with this, scan this QR code now, and you can donate as much or as little as you want, or monthly $2.75. And this is the Electoral Commission mail, PDF viewer for Australia Electoral Commission, September 2021. This is the one they have on their website, so I just shared the PDF, save in paper, and put some explanatory information where LFDRA stands when it comes to the Australian Electoral Commission. So that's the front page of LFDRA.org. We'll go to the front page of LFDRA.com. This is the front page of LFDRA.com. So $2 coin donation as well. This go on for a lot longer. These are a lot of the. That's where the flag started, and that's where it is today. So the flag started as this one, and then it moved on to this one. And just some explanatory information. Scan the QR code. You can ask the AI questions if you want to ask questions, and I'll get it. This goes on for quite some time. There's heaps of these JPEGs. These this is the LFDRA BWUA one. Republic of Australia Federation Police. This could be a badge for them. It's not a badge for Federal Police. AFP. That's ROAFP. Some BWUA stuff. The flag was inspired by this one here. An AI did that. An AI co-pilot did that, and I was inspired from that one. So we'll scroll down a little further. It's not going to. It's showing more. That's all of them. And that's Republic of Australia LFDRA websites. So we'll go to the other one, front page. That was the one before was front page LFDRA.com. This is front page ROA LFDRA.com. And there it is, the gold coin donation. and some explanatory information. The parties, ROA, LFDRA parties, QR code to donate. And we'll go to LFDRA.net front page. LFDRA.net front page. Get involved. And then we'll go to Of the Day TV 24 front page. We'll go to the front page. This is the front page of this one. We were live on Of the Day TV 24. We did have a live stream going on there. So that has been a presentation of, oh, that's me when I made a duck a toppy. I need to lose 60 kilos of weight too. That's the 5 front pages. Thanks for, this will probably be in the system. I'm still trying to work everything out. I'm learning heaps. I'm trying to work it out. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Yeah, this is LFDRA audio. Wednesday the 4th of June. It's good to hear about the federal minimum increase. It's been an LFDRA policy since 2017 that the federal minimum safety net should be $33 per hour with all the holidays, sick days, and other entitlements, which is found on the website, on the LFDRA website. This is broken record stuff. I sound like a broken record, I know I do, and I have no listeners because the way the cookie crumbles is that the media, they're all favoritism to King Charles. And 7th edition, what's written about in 7th edition that I read 7th edition back in 2011, 2012, right before I actually applied once. I actually applied for 7 government jobs a week, one month, just because you try to look for a job with the same private businesses, and they're the same business. But I once on Job Seeker or New Start, it was called New Start then, and I think the New Start payment was about $560 or $580 a fortnight. And so I thought, oh, fuck this. So I just went and applied for a whole heap of government jobs. I applied for the DPMC. I applied for ACES, ASIO, all those other jobs. And I applied for all these government jobs, about 7 jobs a week. And I thought, nah, fuck this. Because they say you have to apply for it. You have to search for 7 to 15 job places. Look for work for 7 to 14 businesses. So I thought, nah, fuck this. I'll just apply for a job with the same business, which pretty much if you're working for a business, you're just working for the same business somewhere else because they've diversified. Though, so I applied for all these Department of Defense jobs and DPMC jobs, and before that I wasn't on, but I had an email sent to me to correspond with the expert panel on asylum seekers, which I wrote back to, and they said, thank you for your contribution. And then I applied for I already applied for DPMC jobs just to get the government off my back. And it's not worth writing to politicians because you'd end up You'd end up dead if you wrote the politicians, because their favouritism of their pay packets and their favouritisms to themselves. They only think about themselves and favouritism to King Charles. If they're not favouritism to King Charles, they think in their ideology, they think if they're not favouritism to King Charles, they think I'm the malware. They think the LFDRA is malware. Well, I remember listening to someone, I can't remember the name of the person, but they were saying favouritism is unethical. Favouritism to King Charles is unethical as a government and a country. They never said that, but they said in the aspect of government, as a government public service, they were saying it's unethical to have favouritism. And what is the government of Australia have to give favouritism to? King Charles, a monarchist league of malware. But the way the cookie crumbles, I've already said this, now broken record stuff, back to broken record stuff. Psychiatrists, if psychiatrists and politicians, untouchables, so for example, the untouchables, psychiatrists and politicians, or I know full well Defence Force personnel that were former Defence Force personnel that have had to consume the system of mental health service system. I know full well they wouldn't wish it upon their worst enemy. And I know if psychiatrists had to consume the mental health system in Australia, actually as an affected person patient, yeah, they wouldn't be, I don't think they'd be singing the same tune if they actually had to consume as the affected person patient. So I'll just leave it at that for this LFDRA audio edition. Of the Day TV 24 live programming, according to the LFDRA website, it might resume in the future. We went with a Canadian business and it wasn't working for us. We went for a Canadian business to help with the streaming side going live, and we just got delay and lag, and the transponder or whatever, transcoder or whatever the fuck it is, wasn't working. So that'll be going again in the future. But see, some of what the Fed is malware. See, they're close to it, but they're just malware. They think they're doing what's right, but they're not. They're just malware in favouritism to King Charles and favouritism to the pay packets of their status of themselves. Yeah, this is LFDRA audio, Wednesday the 4th of June. It's good to hear about the federal minimum increase. It's been an LFDRA policy since 2017 that the federal minimum safety net should be $33 per hour, with all the holidays, sick days, and other entitlements, which is found on the website, on the LFDRA website. This is broken record stuff. I sound like a broken record, I know I do, and I have no listeners, because the way the cookie crumbles is that the media, they're all favouritism to King Charles. And 7th edition, what's written about in 7th edition that I read 7th edition back in 2011, 2012, right before I actually applied for 7 government jobs a week, one month, just because you try to look for a job with the same private businesses, and they're the same business. But I once, on JobSeeker or New Start, it was called New Start then, and I think the New Start payment was about $560 or $580 a fortnight. And so I thought, oh, fuck this. So I just went and applied for a whole heap of government jobs. I applied for the DPMC. I applied for ACES, ASIO, all those other jobs. And I applied for all these government jobs, about 7 jobs a week. And I thought, nah, fuck this. Because they say you have to apply for it, you have to search for 7 to 15 job places, look for work for 7 to 14 businesses. So I thought, nah, fuck this, I'll just apply for a job with the same business, which pretty much if you're working for a business, you're just working for the same business somewhere else because they've diversified. Though, yeah, so I applied for all these Department of Defense jobs and DPMC jobs, and before that I wasn't on, but I had an email sent to me to correspond with the expert panel on asylum seekers, which I wrote back to, and they said thank you for your contribution. And then I applied for I already applied for DPMC jobs just to get the government off my back. And it's not worth writing to politicians because you'd end up dead if you wrote to politicians, because their favouritism of their pay packets and their favouritisms to themselves. They only think about themselves and favouritism to King Charles. If they're not favouritism to King Charles, they think in their ideology, they think if they're not favouritism to King Charles, they think I'm the malware. They think the LFDRA is malware. Well, I remember listening to someone, I can't remember the name of the person, but they were saying favouritism is unethical. Favouritism to King Charles is unethical as a government and a country. They never said that, but they said in the aspect of government, as a government public service, they were saying it's unethical to have favouritism. And what is the government of Australia have to give favouritism to? King Charles, a monarchist league of malware. But the way the cookie crumbles, I've already said this, now broken record stuff, back to broken record stuff. Psychiatrists, if psychiatrists and politicians, untouchables, so for example, the untouchables, psychiatrists and politicians, or I know full well Defence Force personnel that were former Defence Force personnel that have had to consume the system of mental health service system. I know full well they wouldn't wish it upon their worst enemy. And I know if psychiatrists had to consume the mental health system in Australia actually as an affected person patient, yeah, they wouldn't be, I don't think they'd be singing the same tune if they actually had to consume as the affected person patient. So I'll just leave it at that for this LFDRA audio edition. Of the Day TV 24 live programming, according to the LFDRA website, it might resume in the future. We went with a Canadian business and it wasn't working for us. We went for a Canadian business to help with the streaming side going live, and we just got delay and lag, and the transponder or whatever, transcoder or whatever the fuck it is, wasn't working. So that'll be going again in the future. But see, some of what the Fed is malware. See, they're close to it, but they're just malware. They think they're doing what's right, but they're not. They're just malware in favouritism to King Charles and favouritism to the pay packets of their status of themselves. Yeah, this is LFDRA audio. Wednesday, the 4th of June. It's good to hear about the. Okay, so I asked Copilot this question, and the question was, what assistance is there for Australians that have had their children exited from Australia to Japan? It says, if your child has been taken to Japan without your consent, there are legal and consular assistance options available to you. It says, 1, Attorney General's Department. It says, the Australian Attorney General's Department provides financial assistance for legal costs related to securing a court order for the return of a child to Australia. They also cover flights for the child's return and for individuals required to attend overseas legal proceedings. However, they do not cover costs related to visitation or access. It says 2, consular support. The Australian Government, through the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, DFAT, offers consular assistance to affected parents. They continue to advocate for Australian Japanese children involved in parental abduction cases and provide updates on their efforts. Well, I haven't received any updates on any efforts. It says legal consideration in Japan. It says Japan operates. This is first one I read out was attorneygeneral.gov.au. The second one was dfat.gov.au, and sbs.com.au says legal considerations in Japan. It says Japan operates under a sole custody system, meaning that after divorce, only one parent retains parental rights. In disputed cases, Japanese courts often grant custody to the parent who physically has the child at the time. This system has led to concerns about parental abduction. And then it says if you need assistance, you can apply for legal financial aid through the Attorney General's Department or seek consular support from DFAT. And then it says, let me know if you need any help finding specific contacts or resources. So basically, she hasn't attempted to make contact, and I've tried to visit twice and I was arrested for trying to visit. I've rang the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade and they've done nothing. I remember when this first happened in 2010, all they said on the telephone was this happens every single day. It's a daily thing. Children being exited from Australia without consent of one parent. According to DFAT, according to Emergency Consular Assistance, it happens every single day. So I've recently tried making contact with the mother. I've recently tried making contact with the mother that I got a divorce from, that remarried and had another child. I've tried making contact with my 2 sons that live in Okinawa that I have no contact with. But the thing is, when I've gone to visit Okinawa, when I tried to visit in 2011, 2012, I was arrested twice for trying to arrange a visit. So obviously the SBS one, number 3 in that, how for parent, it's the parent who has physical parental guardianship of the child. If they're in their care, the other parent doesn't have ability to parental rights after a divorce. So even in visitations, nothing would be granted under Japanese law if one parent has the physical aspect of custody, or whatever you call it, parental
parental parenting rights. I have no parenting rights under Japanese law, so. But as an Australian, being exited from Australia as a child, yet according to my brother, he's when they turn 21, they have to renounce Australian citizenship and hand in their Australian citizenship. They have to renounce Australian citizenship to stay in Japan at the age of 21. So, that's about it for this this ad Harry still at LFDRA one. Please do like, subscribe, and comment. We have no listeners, so the mail out flyer, just print one out and hand it to someone. We've probably spent over from 2017. We've probably spent over 120 grand on the website so far since 2017. We've probably spent that's 30, 60. Yeah, we've probably spent 120 grand on the website so far. So it's not cheap. It's not cheap having a website. There's not one single person has donated a single dollar coin or gold coin donation for a fair and equal stable way. It's a bit disappointing, but who gives a shit? I don't get paid a fucking cent to give a shit, so I've tried. But as I said, that was about people making a donation, but according to it, Australian children who are born in Australia are exited from the country every single day by one parent without the consent of another parent. It's a daily occurrence in Australia, and they get it every single day. So I expected more from the Fed, to be honest, in the aspect. But what they claim they've got, DFAT won't even send you in the direction of the financial aid to be able to have civil proceedings to get an extradition for the person that's exited someone from Australia and the return of the child. They haven't done anything to assist me in any way, shape or form. When I was in Japan, all they said is where there's a notary in your area, and that's it. But yeah, that's about it for this edition of LFDRA Audio. Yeah, this is President Mr. Harry Stiller of the LFDRA, League for Republic Democracy of Australia, and League for Republic Democracy of Republic of Australia, LFDRA. Just on the way I voted, I've never voted for any existing politician in the country. Whenever I've received a postal vote from the AEC, it's just claimed who I've voted for. When the AEC sends out their letter with a postal, it just claims who I voted for. With the AEC logo on it, it just claims who I voted for. But I've never voted for any living or deceased politician in the country. When I've ever voted at an election, what I've done is I've just left the ballot paper blank and folded it over, because as we know, solutions to national security issues, if you want to call it national security issues, but Federation security in a fair and equal stable way, can't be achieved through ALP, LNP and the Greens. The Greens exploited a 2015 policy and put their spin on it. They exploited a 2015 policy I wrote to every politician in 2015 with an audio file, not to mention the 2012, 2013 letter before I was detained in Harvey Bay, taken to anyway. I've never voted for an existing politicians. Though we've updated, I have updated on the website how to vote. You can simply staple the PDF with the Republic of Australia LFDRA party card on either side. You can just staple that to the ballot paper and put it in the box. But people probably aren't allowed to know about LFDRA. That's what I say. People probably aren't allowed to know about LFDRA. Obviously, there's a lot of things you'd expect. Though I've never voted for any of the politicians. I've always left the ballot vacant. I don't preference any existing registered political party in the country. They're all malware. They fortify genocide and malware. They're not a fair and equal, stable way. Their ideologies are malware. They claim to be security tough, but they're complacent. It's all about money. I've got a lot of diversity. I've spoken English for 37 years, though in equivalency ratio, in some countries in equivalency ratio it's more. In some countries in equivalency ratio it's less for residential ownership. In some countries in equivalency ratio it's less. In some countries equivalency ratio it's more, though a fair and equal stable way can only be achieved through a Republic of Australia LFDRA party, federation, government administration, and that's the truth. All the other political parties of favouritism to King Charles, they're all malware, and the malware they'll fortify, there's nothing I'll be able to do with them fortifying their malware, because it will just claim you voted for them, and that's the way the cookie crumbles. Yeah, I've said this before. If I knew I was going to be detained at the age of 25 over lies my sister Kim told a mental health services referral line, I would have preferred to have been shot dead. So this has been going on for over 12 years. If I knew my sister Kim was going to make involuntary actions and lie to Definition 6, a mental health referral line of a mental health service, I would have preferred to have been shot dead without body part thefts and cremated at the age of 25 if I knew she was going to lie to a mental health service. Though I won't read the MHRT number, but this is what I wrote to Definition 6 New South Wales Government MHRT. I'm currently in the process of revoking a community treatment order and monthly injections with a Johnson pharmaceutical product. So this is what I wrote. What's the first three letters of the word Harry? H-A-R. What's another word with the first three letters? Harm. What's in the form Stiller Harry? Self-harm. Mr. Harry Stiller is no threat of harm to himself or others, has never been charged with a harming offence, has never threatened anyone with harm. What's letters 3, 4, 5 of last name? I-L-L. Ill, as in you're mentally ill. Mental Health Services, MHS, Mr. Harry Stiller, MHS. First time Mr. Harry Stiller was arrested in his whole life by a referral Kim Marie Stiller made in Hervey Bay that in 2023-2024 she told Mr. Harry Stiller what she said to the referral line in 2013. She said Mr. Harry Stiller is hearing voices. Yet I never said that, or said she lied to the Queensland referral line of mental health services. I never said what she said. Where was Mr. Harry Stiller taken in 2013 after false claims to mental health services referral line by Kim Marie Stiller? Mr. Harry Stiller was cuffed by police, taken to Maryborough Hospital Services of a mental health services. First time Mr. Harry Stiller was arrested and detained in his whole life. Since then, she has made multiple referrals of involuntary actions because of the context of Mr. Harry Stiller's name, MHS. Mr. Harry Stiller wants a discharge from Grafton MHS Mental Health Service, that it's all been involuntary because of the context of his name and the false claims Kim Marie Stiller made in 2013. And where was Mr. Harry Stiller taken? First time he was arrested, detained in his whole life, at no threats of harm to himself or others. The CTO is too restrictive to have to meet every 2 weeks with the MHS because the context of Mr. Harry Stiller, MHS, and the lies Kim Marie Stiller told to Queensland referral line of a mental health service in 2013. Mr. Stiller, malignant syndrome. Kim Marie Stiller, kill Mr. Stiller. Mr. Harry Stiller would not benefit from 2 weekly meetings with mental health services, as this has been going on since Kim Marie Stiller made a false statutory declaration referral to mental health services referral line in Queensland in 2013. Mr. Harry Stiller is applying for revoke of CTO and a discharge as Kim Marie Stiller lied to the mental health service in 2013. This is all involuntary actions over the context of name. How psychiatrists would claim Peter Dutton. Peter Dutton joined the Queensland Police Department. He had a political demotion to Leader of the Opposition. He had a political department. He had a party director. Policy direction. All of that aspect of Peter Dutton. So psychiatrists would claim Peter Dutton doesn't have PD in their name. They'd claim this is an all-over context name, the involuntary actions they're making over context name. They'll claim brain measurement doesn't exist, though Kim Marie Stiller lied in 2013 to a mental health service referral line. Though, as I said, if I knew I was going to be detained by a practitioner at the age of 25 in 2013 without a day in court to prosecute the government, or told what Kim Marie Stiller said in the referral, because as I said, she told me in 2013 what she actually said, and this is what she said. She said, Harry Stiller said he's hearing voices. Mr. Harry Stiller said he's hearing voices. I never said that to my sister Kim. She said he's talking to the TVs, talking about the CIA and the Utah Mormon cult. I think she got offended. She got offended because I referred to her religion, the Utah Mormon cult. I referred to it as the Utah Mormon cult. I was never referring to anything about conspiracy. Of course, they'll get all manipulative and second-hand information, second-hand, Stiller Harry, and they'll prosecute that in fortification of their malware. But see, I said I spoke to her in front of the TV. I wasn't talking to the TV. I spoke to her in front of the TV, and I referred to her religion as the Utah Mormon cult, as the Utah Mormon cult. And I said, I spoke about Thomas S. Monson and said he was a Vietnam veteran. I said, look, it probably had been used by the CIA at one stage, the Utah Mormon cult. I wasn't referring to her local branch that it was the CIA. I never said that. I just said the Utah Mormon cult has probably been used by the CIA at one stage, and that Thomas S. Monson was a Vietnam veteran. That's all I said. She lied I was never talking to the TV. I was talking to her while she was cooking in the kitchen, while I was writing on my laptop. While I was writing and browsing the internet on my laptop, watching the news, I was talking to her in front of the TV, asking what's for dinner because I was visiting in the lounge room on the couch, and she's lied to Definition 6 government of Queensland government of the Campbell-Newman locked door policy, and she said he's talking to the TV, yet I was talking to her in front of the TV, and she lied and said he said he's hearing voices. I never said that to her, yet it's taken how many years for her to tell me what she actually said? 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. I think she told me in 2023, she told me what she actually said to the mental health services referral line in 2023. Something that I never said to her, and something that I wasn't doing. I never said that at her place. What she had said, but I had a sister that ran off with a school teacher, and she lied to Definition 6 about it. So, in biology, she's like that because her sister lied, and her sister remembers about lying about running off with a school teacher, and she's like that in biology because she'll lie because the aspect of biology, she lied to the mental health services referral line. I never said what she said, but the problem is the psychiatrists would claim brain measurement doesn't exist. They'd claim in an aspect, psychiatrists would claim they're not measured in any way, shape or form to technology. They'd claim there's no... Yet Raytheon knowingly manufacture the brain hack radars to disperse protesters. There's the noise ones, but there's also the neurology sensory ones that brain hack the brain to disperse protesters, which is manufactured by Raytheon. Though they said if you don't have your brain measured to a hard drive, you'll be arrested. They said if you don't take the debilitating Johnson & Johnson pharmaceutical industry medication, you'll be arrested. But they also said, I was never told what she actually said in the referral to say I never said that. They just went on false information that she said to a mental health services. You see, the thing is, psychiatrists would claim Peter Dutton never had Peter in his name. Psychiatrists would claim Peter Dutton never joined the police department. And psychiatrists would claim Peter Dutton never had a political demotion. So that's the way the cookie crumbles when it comes to psychiatrists and mental health services. Though what did the Liberal National Party government do of swearing to serve King Charles with superannuation insurance when they were in government? What did they do? And I heard Susan Ley talk about LFDRA's policy in APH, though there was a point of order by the Speaker when she said ABNS superannuation numbers. ABNS. She said ABNS. That was ABNS. That's a policy on LFDRA about ROA post bank passbook superannuation accounts for employees of a fair and equal stable way of an aspect of superannuation protections and how the interest would cover life insurances and everything. Though what the Liberal National Party government do that Peter Dutton, that's got Peter in his name, that had a political demotion, what did they do with insurance law in the favouritism law circles of King Charles? The aspect of people's lives on insurance, what did they do? And yet what do they claim about insurance? Yet what did they fortify as a government, swearing to serve King Charles in favouritism when they were in government, in the feds? They were fucked over by the feds, we're fucked over by ALP, we're fucked over by LNP, we're fucked over by the media, we're fucked over by King Charles, we're fucked over by Definition 6. It's just malware what they fortify. But psychiatrists, as I said, psychiatrists would claim Peter Dutton never had PD in his name. Peter Dutton would claim he doesn't have PD in his name. Peter Dutton would claim he never joined the police department. And Peter Dutton would claim he never had a political demotion. This is LFDRA audio, Sunday, 16th of March, 2025, in the Gregorian calendar. I've probably said this before, though. What does Definition 6 law of King Charles's Commonwealth of Australia realm actually correct to? What is it about King Charles III Commonwealth of Australia realm Definition 6 law? What do the state government's law actually correct to when it comes to the way laws are structured around the residential properties? What does the law actually correct to? I've said this before, though. Out of sight, out of mind. There's 640,000 households plus that the law has corrected them to live in tents and pay rents to live in those tents without electricity. There's 640,000 households forced to live in tents. How was it back in the day? Back in the day when it was called colonisation, what happened? What happened? And before 60,000 years ago, what was it with the tribes? The tribes were like, yep, that's your tribal area. And how is it in Papua New Guinea with the 800 plus tribes that speak different languages? There's 800 plus countries in Papua New Guinea, tribes under Papua New Guinea government, though we don't want tribal violence. We want a fair and equal, stable way from the beginning of a Republic of Australia Federation government administration. We want a fair and equal, stable way for every living person. Now, when you think about it, what is federal law of King Charles III Commonwealth of Australia realm of ALP, LNP and Greens, what is that actually correcting to? And from the same political parties, what is Definition 6 law correcting to? With the media apparatuses and all of this, what is the law of Definition 6 actually correcting to? It's malware. It's terrorism and it's malware. King Charles has got no idea what it's like to be born in Australia and have to consume and have to consume what the law corrects to. So basically, people are forced to pay rents on residential property. Banks are saying no because they make more money with people paying rents on properties. And then there's inflation. So we need a fair and equal, stable way from the beginning. But when you think about it, what is Definition 6 law actually correcting to? Australia is big in land area, but it's a very small country. I've said this before. I've said it all before. But we're fucked over. We're fucked over by ALP. We're fucked over by LNP. We're fucked over by the Greens. We're fucked over by media. We're fucked over by Facebook. We're fucked over by Alphabet Inc. We're fucked over by the feds. We're fucked over by Definition 6. And we're fucked over by forces. And we're fucked over by the media. It's as simple as that. Though for the latest, you can visit, for the latest policy positions of Republic of Australia LFDRA, you can visit LFDRA.com, LFDRA.org, ROA, LFDRA.com, LFDRA.net, and Of the Day TV 24.net. And that was LFDRA audio today, though King Charles is a listed terrorist organisation. He has knowingly committed genocide. As I said, when Scott Morrison was in government, he aggregated a death statistic from involuntary mental health. People have got the wrong idea. People don't realise psychiatry actually started in Russia. They say it was Sigmund Freud. But psychiatry actually started in Russia. And what do they call it in the encyclopedia? They call it HT. What's another word for HT? Heart transplant. They say, in their book, if one of their abducted and drugged slaves have got the belief that all this shit. But I was recently arrested by a psychiatrist to consume acid and a steroid. And now I have to take an injection for 6 months. And if I don't take the injection every month for 6 months, I'll be arrested and detained to consume hydrochloric acid and steroid and Johnson pharmaceutical products. And as I've said in other LFDRA audios, my father's name is John, and other people would refer to me as, that's John's son. And what's the name of the pharmaceutical brand? Johnson. And how many people have they murdered in their genocide? According to the ICC, the International Criminal Court, King Charles's regime has knowingly committed genocide because, according to it, Russia, Sudan, America, and another country they're not ratified or in force of the International Criminal Court on the aspect of genocide, crimes against humanity. The King Charles regime, where does the money go for the genocide that King Charles has committed? I've said this in a previous LFDRA audio. It goes to a non-ratified, non-in-force country. It goes to the United States of America, as 73 to 75% of business in Australia is owned by America. And America has not ratified, they're not ratified or in force with the International Criminal Court. So they're saying, America's saying they can do whatever they want. They can take the revenue for genocide and all this shit. The death statistic that the Liberal National Party aggregated after probably LFDRA broadcasts about mental state inducement was 35,000 people were murdered every year, from involuntary presentations to emergency rooms to be locked up in mental health service prisons for profits and revenues, and they call it the HT. They call it the HT in the ideology, but according to what psychiatry started in Russia. I don't know the actual Russian word for Russia. I've been trying to learn some Russian. I think it might be Pasikna. I don't know if it's Pasikna. I don't know if Russia's Pasikna. I wouldn't know. Though, as I said, first time I'm arrested in my whole life, detained. My hands were put behind my back. I was rushed by police. They cuffed me, threw me in the back of a police car. Yet, what's the context of my name? Mr. Harry Stiller. Where was I taken? Maryborough Health Service, a mental health service. Measurement crimes are real. They'll claim psychiatrists are delusional because psychiatrists will claim there's no such thing as measurement crimes or exploits of measurement crimes. See, high courts and federal courts would all be there. Military tribunals would all be the aspect of measured brain measurement and all this shit. Even the International Criminal Court would be there with the aspect of brain measurement crimes as well. Though that's all of LFDRA audio today. And this is at Harry Stiller LFDRA on www.youtube.com/@ Harry Stiller LFDRA. And a fair and equal stable way. Please donate for a fair and equal stable way. There's LFDRA.net. Oh, there's my coffee machine going off. I don't know if you can hear it. There's LFDRA.net, and there's some new pages on there. There's Promote LFDRA page as well. Thanks for listening. And that's how the cookie crumbles today. Yeah, international relations is interesting. Well, the problem is that Definition 6, King Charles, the legal law system of King Charles of Definition 6 and the Fed, they put psychiatrists and their mental health staff as they put them on the pedestal in the legal law system. So practitioners of King Charles can go out and detain without days in court anyone they want at any time they want. So that's the problem. But according to the reason the psychiatrists were striking was something due to being paid 30% less in New South Wales than other states. Yet psychiatrists have knowingly murdered over 350,000 people over the past decade, but still they'll report stuff as death unknown, and then they've knowingly murdered someone through their faculty ideology of what they've studied, and they're reported as death unknown, but they've knowingly murdered over 350,000 people from practitioner detainments. So practitioner detainments have knowingly murdered over 350,000 people. So psychiatrists of mental health staff that have detained people with police and involuntarily presented them to the hospital lockups, the hospital mental health lockups, have knowingly murdered over 350,000 people over the past decade. So that's a fact. Texas University was the ones that founded how MRI can put a computer system of an AI algorithm in prediction mode of brain measurement thought, and that was broadcast on the internet. I can't remember the channel name that broadcast it, but it was how MRI brain measurement, an algorithm can put brain measurement in prediction mode, but the LFDRA would have a real brain measurement crimes division or brain measurement crimes squad. Federation Security Brain Measurement Crimes Division. Though there's a lot of malware facilitated by psychiatric psychiatrists division and bases, psychiatric hospital prison bases of psychiatrists that are put on the pedestal in the legal law system as the Rolls Royce of the people's lives, medical slaves, human slavery, and they've knowingly murdered over 350,000 people over the past decade, as I said. So, international relations is interesting. Though there's now another website. We've got 4 websites now. I have 4 websites now. I'm Chief President, Mr. Harry Stiller of the LFDRA. We have 4 websites: LFDRA.org, ROA, LFDRA.com, LFDRA.org, and Of the Day TV 24.net and LFDRA.net. Please do like, subscribe, and comment. Though you can see what the problem is when, like, 350,000 people murdered over a decade, but people's lives, they see it as their quota. They got beds, so they just fill them, and it's all about money. They're all whinging about money. I think they're paid way too much money, the psychiatrists. The NDIS isn't doing anything of benefit to abducted and drugged slaves of psychiatrists. So, but psychiatrist divisions of King Charles have knowingly committed genocide and murdered over 350,000 people over the past decade. That's a fact that was on the Australian Bureau of Statistics website. So they'll continue on with their malware. There's nothing I can do about it because it seems to be the way that the Liberal National Party's policy was. They legislated in the Australian Electoral Commission, and their hardcore favouritism to King Charles III. All the media outlets are favouritism to King Charles III. Well, the actual statistics, if you want to know the statistics, face-to-face, people I've spoken to about some of LFDRA policy would 100% be in favour and support LFDRA policy. That would be people I've spoken to over the phone or face-to-face would be 100% in support of LFDRA policy. But the actual true statistic, in statistics, the true statistic for LFDRA policy is actually 93 to 98% of people, if they actually knew the policy position of LFDRA, would actually support it. Whether or not they would have the freedom to vote for Republic of Australia LFDRA party, that's another question. Though international relations is very interesting. Though, as I said, LFDRA would have a brain measurement crimes division, and that would also look at language learning models in AI and MRI. But it was broadcast on the internet about MRI and how AI and measurement crimes are in prediction mode of measurements from MRI, which is invasive. But the Texas university that claimed they founded that an MRI can cause a language learning model to be in thought prediction. A robo that we saw the robo thing with Centrelink can put it in thought prediction mode of brain measurement, someone's brain measurement in a language learning model's prediction of what the person will think is thinking and thinking next at human level intelligence, at human level interaction. Though measurement crimes are real, brain measurement is real. Though there's been a genocide knowingly committed by King Charles and psychiatrists, and and mental health staff, and there's been through their psychiatric prisons at hospitals, their psychiatric gulag prisons of human slaves for psychiatrists and the staff of hospitals that have knowingly murdered over 350,000 people over the past decade, as I said. We heard Donald Trump talking about the thousands murdered every week in Ukraine, yet there's just under 1,000 murdered by the government's involuntary treatments in Australia every week by Definition 6 base hospital gulags, hospital psychiatric prison lockups for abducted and drugged slaves. And electroconvulsive therapy slaves get their brains mangled. It's terrorism. And they've knowingly murdered over 350,000 people over the past decade. So there's been some updates to the 4 websites. LFDRA.net is another 4 pages, and that's found down the bottom of every page. You can see LFDRA.net there. I don't know if screen recording's going to work again, so I might do some laptop camera broadcasts or tripod camera broadcasts from my new curtain set in my studio. Might do some camera broadcasts from my new curtain set in my studio, as I said. Though peace, love, and joy. Peace, love, and joy. This was LFDRA audio today. It's terrorism what Definition 6 and psychiatrists are allowed to do to people. It's terrorism. So I don't want to live in this country. I don't want to live in Australia or any of its states anymore after being abducted and drugged at the age of 25. I didn't have a day in court to prosecute what someone said. Just because a referral's been made and someone said something about someone, you got no avenue, no option to prosecute a psychiatrist's secondhand information that's come from someone that made stuff up about someone. You can't prosecute. You can't just because someone said something about someone or labelled someone, according to it, you can't prosecute the government or the person that made the referral. As I said, because they put the psychiatrists in the legal system, the practitioners, the psychiatrists and the mental health staff practitioners, they put them up and the secret rigged tribunals, but the integrity of there needs to be updates, there needs to be a federation. If there is to be mental health in the future, there needs to be a federation mental health, federation security, mental health service. Yet involuntary mental health treatment would be illegal. That would be illegal. So just be aware of that. Okay, so answer these questions. Is my name is Mr. Harry Stiller. So is Peter Dutton's name? Peter Dutton is the first letter P and is the last letter D. I've said this in a previous LFDRA audio. Though, what's the context? These are the questions. Why does the president of China say Tibet is Tibet Autonomous Region? Obviously, he knows about the measured apparatus and all of this. Though, what's the context of Peter Dutton's name? PD. According to the measured staff of the government, they'll claim Peter Dutton never joined the QPS police department. They'll claim Peter Dutton didn't have a political department. They'll claim Peter Dutton never had a political demotion, and they'll claim Peter Dutton's not a political department, a police department. He joined the police department. Then he was in the politicians department. He had a political demotion to leader of the opposition. He had a political demotion. He had a party demotion, a party policy defense, policy director, political department, politicians department, police department. And what's he done through his career? His policy to department. He's been in a QPS. He worked in the police department. And what's the context of my name? Mr. Harry Stiller, MHS. And what's the government's mental health services? And was I or was I not taken to Maryborough Health Service, Mental Health Service, and I'm Mr. Harry Stiller in 2013 because the context of my name, Mr. Harry Stiller, in the measured apparatus of measured autonomy, doesn't exist that Peter Dutton's name was PD and he joined the QPS police department, does it? Couldn't exist, could it?
Yeah, this is LFDRA audio, and this is Chief President Mr. Harry Stiller, Republic of Australia LFDRA Party. So this is, as I said, this is LFDRA audio, and this is Chief President Mr. Harry Stiller. I sent a message to my sister today. According to it, I got a phone call. This is. Hold on one moment. Yeah, I got a phone call. From oh no, I'm not going to start it again. I got a phone call from the mental health service. A lady with an Indian accent that said she was from a mental health service of King Charles III, Commonwealth of Australia realm. And so I sent the National Security Hotline a message. See, Security Hotline, I'm Mr. Harry Stiller. National Security Hotline is SH. They're called National Hotline, National Security. So what's that? HS. Hotline Security. Anyway. I sent this message after I got a phone call. I said, MHS measured malware. The message was sent to context name, my sister, and I gave the context name. After a call from a private, see my sister. I got two sisters. I got three. I have 4 sisters, and some have changed to married names. Some have had married names, and some have kept their father's last name. I've got 4 sisters, and I sent this to
National Security Hotline, and also I sent it to the sister that made a referral to mental health for the 4th time to the government. And this is the message I sent. MHS measured malware. The message was sent to contact's name, a sister with the last name Stiller, after a call from a private number after 6 p.m. today. And what's the context in law? Contexts FIT, forced injectable trade. MHS measured, I went over that one. You see, the context of my name, Mr. Harry Stiller, MHS, and Mr. Stiller, MS. And I said, you sent me to Maryborough Health Service, and I'm Mr. Harry Stiller, MHS, Mental Health Services. It's terrorism. I got a call from an Indian English speaker from a private number, said she was from mental health. I always say fuck off to Indian English scammers. And I'm a son of a John, and was arrested over 7 times to be injected with pharmaceutical industry brand Johnson. That's a sensory technology business as well for over 12 years. It's terrorism. And what's letters 1 and 2 of name? ST. And what's letters 3, 4, 5 of name? ILL. And I said, you told me what you said to the government in 2013. And you lied because my name is Mr. Harry Stiller. And what's the last 2 letters ER of Stiller? Emergency room, entrapment revenue. And what's the first 3 letters of first name? HAR. What's a word? Harassment. What's MS? Mr. Stiller. Malignant syndrome. Metabolic syndrome. And I said, it's terrorism, Kim. How the Indian scammers then say they're from what you reveal to them. You know, measurement crimes are real. So the Indian scammers, see, because I said fuck off to definition 6, government mental health services in a call after 6 p.m. from a private number. And then I said in the message, and exploited, and I got a message back and it said, thank you for contacting the National Security Hotline, NSH. It says, the NSH is a reporting line for issues of terrorism and national security. It says, if you would like to report general crime and your report is urgent, please call 000. And it says, if you feel that your report is not urgent, please contact non-urgent police assistance on 131 444. If you have any additional information related to Australia's context, national security. Okay. And then it says, please contact the NSH on 1-800-123-400. And then it says, kind regards, NSH. And then I wrote another message. It's terrorism, Kim. Both ruling parties have abducted and drugged me in the human slave trade. And then I said, after 6 p.m. in the message, I said, after 6 p.m. mental health can get fucked. The terrorist regime cunts. They've committed genocide and shoved it under the carpet. And then I said, how would you like to be abducted and drugged over 7 times for over 12 years without a day in court before, locked in a cell at context ER emergency room without a day in context arrest court context ST, and drugged in a cell for context Johnson sensory technology pharmaceutical industry measured revenue? And I said, it's terrorism. Both of your King Charles realm regimes have been doing this, and they've murdered over 35,000 people a year, and they call it a quota in the measured apparatus exploits of sensory technology pharmaceutical industry business that made shit up and wants to make money. The context name Stiller was ordered. This is in name change order on LFDRA.org. I didn't say in the message this is in name change order on LFDRA.org, but I said the context name Stiller was ordered by MI5 of King Charles Realm of Yeah, okay, I'll keep it down. And see, because my dad's name's John, and I'm a son of John, and you could say I'm John's son. So how about that? So I said the context name Stiller was ordered by MI5 of King Charles Realm of context John Stiller's birth in England, London. I said it's terrorism how the feds and definition 6 have committed genocide and shoved it under the carpet. Though I said, though my real family name is just Colker. I said MI5 orders the name changed to context Stiller. My dad was born with the name just Colker. And then I said, you claim you haven't committed a genocide. And then I said, it's terrorism that the regime you work for knowingly committed genocide and shoves it under the carpet. And then I said, according to it, my sister Kim Stiller made another referral to a mental health service, and I'm Mr. Harry Stiller. MHS, she's done this 4 times. According to the report on the MyGov, there's a low tolerance for re-referral after the recent abduct and drug referral in Toowoomba. After telling my nephew to get the fuck out of a workshop shed I was leasing with an air conditioner. Over the recent 12 months, I donated to my sister Kim, who has only had a job in her life for 4 months cleaning toilets at a school. I donated to her thousands of dollars in food and other things. And that's what I said. Over the recent 12 months, I donated to her thousands of dollars in food. And then it was with psychiatrist Samuel Hickey, and I'm and I'm still a Harry. Samuel Hickey, and I'm still a Harry. I was cuffed, locked in a cell at an emergency room, and injected with dopamine blockers, and I'm Mr. Stiller. Metabolic syndrome, neuroleptic malignant syndrome, the sensory technology pharmaceutical industry, measured apparatus exploits business context. Johnson, I am John's son. I am a son of a John. Neuroleptic malignant syndrome causes instant death from blocking dopamine. And there was the psychiatrist, Samuel Hickey, and I'm still a Harry, as I said. I was cuffed, locked in a cell and injected with dopamine blockers, and I'm Mr. Stiller. Metabolic syndrome, neuroleptic malignant syndrome, and I sent the message again. And I said the sensory technology pharmaceutical industry measured apparatus exploits business context. Johnson, I am John's son. I'm a son of a John. Neuroleptic malignant syndrome causes instant death from blocking dopamine. And definition 6 report that as death unknown, and they'll use an excuse. So I said all of these messages were sent to the National Security Hotline of King Charles III, Commonwealth of Australia Realm. And then I got a call at 8 o'clock. I said, at 6 o'clock, I said, how do I know you're really from the King Charles III, Commonwealth of Australia Realm, definition 6, abducting, I didn't say abducting drug, but their mental health service, they just use police to, I didn't say this, but they just use police to arrest people, lock them in cells at hospitals and drug them without a day in an arrest court. And I then sent the message after they rang me after 8 o'clock, 8 p.m, and I said they just rang me then and said there was another referral from a sister that has made a referral. And I just said to her, my name's Mr. Harry Stiller. I said she's done this over 4 times and there's been a low referral. The report is there's a low referral there's a low tolerance for re-referral. And I said, what's this? Because my name is Mr. Harry Stiller and you're a mental health service. And, well, if you want to know my sister's full name, it's Kim Marie Stiller. I couldn't give a shit. Because she's done, look at the context of Kim Marie Stiller, KMS, to the context. And I said this, Kim Marie Stiller just rang me and she said she never made a referral to King Charles III Commonwealth of Australia Realm Mental Health Services. It's in the My Health records, and the letter I got, there's a low tolerance for re-referral of context. She's in Toowoomba. I told my sister Elisa May Stiller to fuck off the other day. And I also told my sister Kim to fuck off the other day. And I said after that, how would you like to be abducted and drugged? I said, fuck off. How would you like to be abducted and drugged for over 7 times, over 7 times without a day in court for over 12 years? And I said, how would you like to be abducted and drugged by Context Mental Health Services? What's that? MHS, Mr. Harry Stiller? It's terrorism. I said, it's on my channel, Harry Stiller LFDRA, about this. Though I also told Context name Kim Marie Stiller to fuck off the other day, as I gave her thousands for food and other stuff. And there's another referral to be cuffed, locked in a cell and drugged with sensory technology, pharmaceutical industry, business, dopamine blockers. It's terrorism measured malware. It's on my channel, Harry Stiller LFDRA, about this. Yeah, so then I said I want $100 billion compensation. And you do know the dopamine blockers contain 2 ions of acid. And you can tell that the Liberal National Party are elected in Queensland. And I said, well, I've already said this on LFDRA audio. Though what's the context? Trump. TRUMP, Traded Revenue Uniform Measured Placement. And then it just says, thank you for contacting the National Security Hotline, NSH. We request that unless, this is what it says. It says, we request that unless you have specific information relating to national security or criminal activity, you cease sending further correspondence to national security, to NSH. It says, while all national security reports from members of the public are appreciated, the volume of text you have sent the NSH is not related to national security, and excessive, vexatious or continuing spam messages will result in escalation. If you would like to speak to an operator about any national security concerns you may have, please contact, this is what it says, please contact the National Security Hotline on 1-800-123-400. And then I said, the workshop I was arrested and cuffed, trapped down and pushed to the floor and drugged, taken to a ward that was called Jarrow, and saw a psychiatrist by the name Samuel Hickey, SH, Stiller Harry, MHS, Mr. Harry Stiller. It's terrorism. All I did was told my nephew to get the fuck out of my workshop, and I made a complaint to the ACCC after my website was deleted. Because the CEO at the time was Scott Wagner, and they're, I don't know, over cement, Wagner's concrete, I don't know, over concrete for rents. And then I said, I made a complaint to the ACCC, and I said, after you signed a treaty with Japan Nippon after Context Trading Partner, all I said was, because they made a big thing about it when I was abducted and drugged in the workshop in Toowoomba, after telling my nephew to get the fuck out, and him and his mum went and made a referral to the government, and then the government told me, the Definition 6 government told me what the Feds said. So yeah, and then all I said with Japan Nippon after context.
Just stop it, Harry.
After context trading partner, all I said was, I asked how my two sons were in Okinawa after they were exited from Australia. So I said, fuck off, you terrorist regime cunts of King Charles III Commonwealth of Australia realm that has knowingly committed a quota genocide. So that concludes the LFDRA broadcast here.
Had enough, Harry. I wanted to swear in the stop. I want to get to sleep.
On at
Wake
Harry
your mother up now.
on at Harry Stiller LFDRA. And this was a special edition of LFDRA audio here on www.youtube.com/at Harry Stiller LFDRA. And not all of the message I sent was broadcast on this LFDRA audio edition here at Harry Stiller LFDRA. Yeah, this is at Harry Stiller. Yeah, this is at Harry Stiller LFDRA. Once again, that's at Harry Stiller LFDRA. Well, when Scott Morrison was in government, this is LFDRA audio. When Scott Morrison was in government, I went to the Australian Bureau of Statistics website and I did some searches on the internet search engine, and on the Australian Bureau of Statistics website, so the Scott Morrison government, the Liberal National Party Fed, they knowingly had the statistics about how many deaths, context deaths, that's HS, isn't it, health service, human slavery, all of the contexts, and I'm Harry Stiller, deaths, according to President Mr. Harry Stiller, of Republic of Australia, LFDRA, and LFDRA audio on this channel. So the Scott Morrison government, the Liberal National Party Fed of King Charles, they aggregated an Australian Bureau of Statistics figure on the death rate, deaths from involuntary mental health treatments. So, for example, an involuntary mental health detainment treatment is where someone's arrested without a day in court and locked in a mental health hospital, prison, with no day in court, and labelled to contexts and everything. Though the Scott Morrison government, the Liberal National Party Fed, they knowingly had the statistics on the Australian Bureau of Statistics. So they knew that 35,000. They knowingly knew that 35,000 people were. They knowingly knew they were committing genocide with the laws they fortified, the involuntary mental health treatment laws. They knowingly knew the Australian government, King Charles III Commonwealth of Australia realm, and Scott Morrison and the Governor General, they knowingly knew they were committing genocide with involuntary mental health treatment laws. Though Scott Morrison, he knowingly, after having the information about the 35,000 murders the 35,000 deaths from involuntary abduct and drug mental health laws. He knowingly funded $1 billion in the fortification of it. And people see the people that work in involuntary treatment mental health and police that go out and arrest people for psychiatrists to abduct and drug, and they coerce people into being voluntary. So they have the secret rigged tribunal, so they coerce people into, it's terrorism, because it's absolute terrorism. But Scott Morrison knowingly funded an extra $1 billion to fortify involuntary mental health treatment laws to the tune of $1 billion. And he funded an extra $1 billion. I don't know what the ALP funded it, though. The Liberal National Party knowingly knew the death rate, the genocide they were committing, and they fortified it. Though people every day, according to it, 80% of the population are knowingly depressed. Yet people that work in involuntary mental health, they'll claim all of this stuff, but they knowingly fortified the genocide that they've fortified. The Fed of King Charles, the ALP and LNP add the statistics, but they're knowingly fortifying the malware of the measured apparatus in fortification of the genocide, facilitated knowingly by King Charles III realm and Queen Elizabeth realm. They knowingly had the statistics and knowingly fortified the genocide. According to other statistics, 80% of the population are depressed, but obviously the law fortifies that because there's no fair and equal stable way to the percentages of population and all of that. 80% of the population are depressed. Who makes more money? The pharmaceutical industry. And is that beneficial to your health? Probably not. It's probably not beneficial to your health to be on antidepressants. A fair and equal stable way would be beneficial to your health, but they've got all these ideologies in the faculties to keep it all going. The genocide in the human slavery trade, to fortify the measured malware in the apparatus. So they've knowingly committed the genocide because the Australian Bureau of Statistics of Queen Elizabeth realm, Queen Elizabeth Commonwealth realm of Australia knowingly knew the statistics of how many people they were knowingly murdering and committing genocide from the laws they fortified. So the deaths occurred from involuntary mental health treatments, and they'd coerce people into fortifying what they've consumed in faculties in that ideology. So in the measured apparatus. So that's the way it crumbles. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Though so the Liberal National Party knowingly had the statistics, and they knowingly fortified the genocide in favour of King Charles. They knowingly did that. So King Charles realm, Commonwealth realm, has knowingly committed genocide. And I've said this before. I don't know. I've never met Lydia Thorpe. I don't even know Lydia Thorpe. Yes, I sent her an email once about LFDRA and where LFDRA stands. But obviously that all goes through the Secure Intelli Centre, so I wouldn't even know if they actually because they just send you an automated, and they just sent, because Lydia Thorpe had a bill in King Charles's Commonwealth realm, APH, that has knowingly committed genocide. They've knowingly committed genocide. See, Lydia Thorpe's bill was that the Federal Attorney General, I know how the politics is going with the Holocaust Genocide Museum that was facilitated by the Nazis, and the genocide that was also facilitated by Israel, though King Charles Commonwealth realm knowingly committed genocide. They've knowingly committed genocide because they knowingly had the statistics, yet fortified the genocide with involuntary mental health laws, abduct and drug mental health laws in the human slavery trade of sensory technologies and all of that. And they've knowingly fortified it. We've started a fundraiser on GoFundMe. So you can search for that, a Genocide Museum and Memorial. We're obviously looking for $5 million in donations. I'm not going to read what I wrote about it, though. You can read that on Of the Day TV24.net /Genocide Museum Memorial, or just type in Of the Day TV24.net and go to Genocide Museum Memorial. And there's also on LFDRA.org, there's news and events, and that's information about recent, about starting the GoFundMe fundraiser for the Genocide Museum Memorial. Though the Liberal National Party, the ALP, the Greens, Definition 6 and the Fed of the Governor General, they knowingly had the statistics, and they've knowingly committed genocide. They've fortified it, and the faculty staff have their ideologies, and they fortify psychiatrists. They have their ideologies, and they knowingly fortify genocide. Because obviously there's the death rate statistics, yet human slavery, human slavery, and I'm Harry Stiller, so obviously I'm with deaths, last two letters of a word, Harry Stiller. So King Charles III, Commonwealth of Australia realm, has knowingly committed genocide, and they've shoved it under the carpet. So it's terrorism that they've fortified it, and we know which way faculties and the measured apparatus is going to go to fortify that genocide through the involuntary mental health laws in fortification of the favouritism to King Charles III realm for the fortification of exploits and malware by the ALP and LNP. That's about it for this LFDRA audio edition here at Harry Stiller LFDRA. Please do like, subscribe and comment, and please do go to the, you can either go to the news and events page on news and events LFDRA page on LFDRA.org, or Of the Day TV24.net Genocide Museum Memorial, or you can go to the GoFundMe page, and you can, according to it, it's a fundraiser website, and you can donate. We need about $5 million, so you can visit there and read about it. Yeah, okay. Thanks for listening. There's probably no listeners. See you later. Because I don't get many views, so no one gives a shit. They just fortify genocide in favour of King Charles. King Charles is a hypocrite. He's knowingly committed genocide and shoved it under the carpet.